Maggie Philbin is a celebrated television presenter and technology advocate, known for her role in promoting coding and digital literacy, especially during Europe Code Week, recognising the enduring impact of broadcasting and computing in the UK's educational landscape. And Maggie is with us here. How are you today?
I'm really good. The sun is shining with me. I don't know what it's like with you.
Oh, it's definitely not shining. I think we've seen the last of it here. Now, are you able to tell us a bit more about Europe Code Week and its kind of mission to bring coding and digital literacy to a global audience?
Absolutely. The Europe Code Week provides an opportunity to show what you can actually build if you have got coding skills. Whether you want to change the world with tech, whether you want to make a cool device, whether you want to make a game, coding absolutely underpins our digital world. And the mission behind it is that for far too long, our digital products were being built by a fairly narrow section of society. And so we have to change this because we want the world a much fairer place. And also we want to have the kind of products that we all want, not just, geared at a certain sector. So, the thinking is, find an opportunity, whether it is online, whether it's in person, going to an Apple store and doing a free workshop there, maybe going to a local library if you want to have that in-person experience. But do something just to understand a little bit more about how our digital world is functioning. And then hopefully that will whet your appetite to do far more.
And I suppose it's not just about people all around the world, but it's about people of all ages, isn't it, to have a grasp of technology?
Absolutely, because if you are a young person in school now, chances are you will have had access to some coding at school. But people of a slightly older generation have not had that opportunity, and sometimes a school might not offer it. So you may have missed out. And it is important that we understand the fundamentals. We're not asking everyone to be the sort of the Shakespeare equivalent in the coding world. Yeah. But understanding the basics can really help you. Whether it's as part of your work, where you're working with people who are really, really sophisticated programmers, because you understand what might be achievable and what might not be achievable. But also in our broader lives, when we're asked to vote and political parties are making certain statements about certain things, and you might want to be able to have an informed opinion on what is being said. So it's really important that we understand, what's going on in the underbelly of technology.
And what is it about code specifically that's so beneficial? Because a lot of people might assume that it's something you only really need to know if you want to get into coding and want to get into behind the scenes technical stuff if you're a bit of a nerd, and most people maybe wouldn't really need to know that.
Well, I think if you just start to examine if you just look at your everyday life and the extent to which coding is like running all aspects of your life, whether it's behind the search engines that you're using to find out information, whether it's around a specific piece of tech in your home, whether it's a piece of tech in your hospital, it's underpinning absolutely everything. And so for more people to understand the basics, I always, as I've said, I'm not saying you have to become an absolute expert, but having enough knowledge to be able to work alongside people who have got, very, very sharp skills, or being able to question certain decisions or ask, hang on a minute, if we're using all of that data, how good is that? How good is that data for us to be basing whatever our product is upon? You need to be able to challenge certain things. So it's a fundamental part of our digital lives. So Europe Code Week is just a great opportunity to dip a toe in the water if you haven't already, and then hopefully be enthused to take it a bit further.
And how can people actually get started in coding? Because you mentioned earlier, generationally, there'll be a lot of people who never learnt it at school, most people. So how do they get involved? Are there resources online or in other places?
There are, a huge number of resources online which enable you to get started. So, for instance, you might want to download Swift Playgrounds from the App Store, and that's a great place to start. There are lots of resources. Or if you prefer to be able to work alongside somebody and go, right, try this, and oh no, the reason that hasn't worked is this, and so that essentially have a person coach you through through certain steps. Then there are workshops running in libraries. Apple stores are running free workshops, and you can find out about those if you go on to apple.com/today. It will tell you ones which are running in your local Apple store. But Europe Code Week has a phenomenal number of resources, and if you go on that website, you'll find even more. I mean, I think the key thing is it doesn't matter whether you are an educator, a teacher looking for fresh ideas for your class, whether you are a young person thinking, actually, I'd like to do a bit on my own, I've got a bit of time over half term, or whether you're a parent thinking, well, what is it that my kids are learning at school? I'd like to have a grasp of what they're doing. Have a go, get started.
And it's called Europe Code Week, but it's from the 7th to the 22nd of October, which is not a week. Why is that?
No. Well, it's not some kind of extraordinary time warp.
Yes.
The reason it runs over the best part of a fortnight is because half term falls at different times in regions. So that was why the decision was made to make Europe Code Week essentially Europe Code Fortnight. And also, I think over 80 different countries take part. So it goes way beyond Europe. I mean, a phenomenal number of people, went online for the first time last year. I mean, something like 3.5 million people took part.
Wow.
It's a great opportunity, and I think what you would discover is there's a great community out there who always want to help.
Looking ahead, what are your hopes or aspirations for the future of coding education, both in Europe and the UK and globally?
I think at the risk of sounding very knitted hatty, I'm an optimist, and I believe we live in a fairly unfair world, and I would like to see a much fairer world. And by giving everyone access to the tools that help you create the future that you want to see, that is a very useful thing to do. As I say, historically, it's been a narrow band of people who have created and decided this is the technology that we want for the future. So, I hope that a much broader section of people are able to create the technology that we all use. And it can be big things, it can be personal things, it can be global things. We've at Teen Tech, we've got a young person developing an app at the moment because she had some poor experiences in hospital, and she wanted a way of being able to easily alert all of the medical and support teams helping her. You just wanted them to understand what her boundaries were as a teacher. So it can be personal things, it can be big things. things, but you can, create the environment that you want to live in if you've got the right tools.
Well, are you able to just remind us of all those places that we're able to go to get more information and all these resources?
Well, of course, you've got your Code Week itself. That will give you access to, you'll be astonished at the number of activities which are running. And then if you go on the Apple website, that will give you access to a wide range of resources for teachers, for parents, of every which kind. Apple.com/today is where to go if you think, actually, why don't we just nip down to the Apple store and do a coding workshop? That might be a fun thing to do over half term.
Excellent. Well, many thanks for talking to us. It's been very interesting to have you on.
Thank you.